Hello and welcome to Talking Hoosier Baseball. Today is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023. I am Carl James, joined by Chris Feeney and Cassidy Palmer. The Indiana Hoosiers have started the season out 4-4, losing both opening series 2-1, but getting out with winning the Sunday games. Indiana has also won its 2 midweek games. This is our first show of the year. So we're actually going to cover both weeks up till now and have some discussion about that, including 2 sets of red belts that Chris is going to get to hand out. But we're just going to kind of get started with our general conversations, and we'll pass it on over to Cass. Why don't you get us going, Cass?
Looking a little more based on the Texas series, which seemed to definitely be death by a million ground balls. I was kind of interested in looking at the rate of ground balls hit kind of across the season so far. And looking at it, just looking straight wins and losses, there's not a huge difference, at least so far. Anything I say, there's a little bit of grain of salt there because it's early season and numbers are small, and that's when you get fun data. But when you look by breakdowns for the Auburn series, the Texas series, and then the couple of midweeks combined, there is a pretty stark difference. That Texas series, 42% of at-bats were ground ball, whether that's a hit, an error, or a ground ball out. 42% of the at-bats were ground balls of some variety. Against Auburn, that was 34%, and in the midweeks, where the bats were really doing well, that was about 31%. So not a huge difference between Auburn and midweeks, but pretty big jump to that Texas average. And so far, I'm willing to count that as a fluke so far, because all of the other numbers are landing more toward that 30-ish%. But you could just see, as soon as there was a little bit of momentum, ground into double play. Fielder's choice. Ground ball. At times that seemed almost worse than strikeouts. Like on those double plays, it was like, could you not have just struck out? So that was the thing that stood out to me with that series, that, again, so far seems to be fluke-ish. We'll see if that stays the case as we go on.
And I think we just didn't see a lot of hard hit balls in the air.
Yeah.
The few hard hit balls that were in the air ended up getting collected for outs. So that kind of, and again, like you said, I think a lot of it was magnified by the situations that, and of course you're in an early season where with a team that Texas that had shown some struggles with their bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
So the thought was, you want to run up pitch counts, and the worst thing you can do is early in counts hit ground balls when you're trying to run up pitch counts. So, but like I think, like you said, and again, I asked this of Coach last night, and he said that they were kind of concerned, although they weren't really able to point to like any like particular behavior or anything that might have been causing it. And then the first inning against Butler, every ball was getting hit into the air. So
yeah, when I was going through, I was following along while I was working, and I messaged my boss with, the first 5 at bats have been 5 hits, 4 of them doubles, and he's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So
and I know you're dealing with a different type and level of pitching, but I think our initial concerns, it just kind of felt like, my goodness, there's so many ground balls. But but again, I think overall, I mean, I haven't looked at the actual year-to-year comparisons, but it feels like strikeouts are less, where we're feeling a lower strikeout rate than we're used to seeing this time of year.
Or at the very least, no worse.
Yeah.
I'd have to look.
I mean, we know it's better than that series we had at Tennessee a couple years ago.
Oh,
So.
And that would have been this past weekend. That was the second
Yeah.
weekend of the year.
Yeah.
That was
That was
rough.
bad.
That was
It was like
bad.
22 in one game, wasn't it, or something
Yeah,
like that? So yeah.
something really bad.
That
Well,
was
I want to say
brutal.
we pitched a bunch of strikeouts too, and it was like just lots of strikeouts. So, but I think part of it also comes from a few of our guys that were expecting their bats to pick up a little bit, just haven't yet. I have full faith that they will.
Yeah.
But we've got a few guys who are batting a bit lower than you would expect.
Yep.
And some of it it's been cold so far. Pretty much everywhere we've been playing, it's been at least chilly, if not cold. And so that does impact how well the ball flies. We've always known that.
Yeah. And you also don't have a ton of accurate video on all the pitchers yet.
Yep.
And that's one of those things that also helps throughout the year, especially with the way this team preps for pitchers, the ability to see it. You're gonna come up and face a guy and be like, yeah, we didn't know that he had a changeup in his profile.
Yeah. Turns out
and all
he
of a sudden
does.
suddenly you're dealing with a changeup and you're getting on top of it and hit the ball into the ground. I'm kind of looking at the batted ball percentages that D1 provides and seeing if I can see patterns, and really I don't, because you have essentially like the breakdowns in ground ball, line drive, and fly ball are practically identical for Jesse and Matheson.
Yeah.
And Jesse's, and granted Matheson's numbers got a lot better after yesterday, but Jesse's numbers were in his standard numbers were had been far superior.
It's still 158 points different.
But that actually hasn't been Carter's problem. Carter's actually been hitting when he's been making contact, he's hitting the ball in the air. So so he's doing what he's supposed to be doing there. It's just and he did obviously have that grand slam. So so I think
that was the best. I got in trouble. I was down by the media well, and where they let us sit, to get video and stuff. And I'm cheering and they're looking at me. I just left out of there. I never went back to that game because of that. The first two games, I had to go down there like 3-4 times to get videos and pictures. But they were pissed that I was cheering in that little well. So, I just didn't go back again. That's how you start a game.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're saying with the ground balls and everything, no, I think we still have to give the pitchers that we're facing credit. Because these arms are not arms we're used to. Like Carl said, there's not a lot of video. And they're also good arms, right? A Sunday guy on the SEC probably is a Friday guy in the Big Ten, right? A guy coming out of the pen in the SEC or the Big 12 might be starting in the Big Ten. So these are good arms. And sure, I was disappointed with the offense the first couple of games. And, you wish you took advantage of opportunities that were there. That wasn't even that many, but when they do come up and you're going ground ball, double play, it's frustrating. But I think we got to give the arms some credit, right? It's not just that we're facing good pitching, and I think it showed. I'm proud of getting out of there with 2 wins out of the 6 games, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
If one of those was a sweep, I think I would have been like, okay, we got swept by a team. At least we kept it close. The frustrating thing to me was knowing that we could have won the Texas series. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
They had a couple of big innings on us, and that's why we lost. That series was there for the taking. I don't care how many of those reporters put the Texas logo in those boxes. No one wanted to take us. But we could have won that series. I know we could have.
Yeah.
And I think it shows big time future for this team. It was for the taking. It really was. Well, you got a lead in the 8th inning on Friday night, right? Didn't work out. It happens. But it's not like these games were blowouts in any way. I didn't feel overmatched in any way. We felt a little overmatched in opening weekend for a while, but Auburn's a good
first
team.
game in particular, but a lot of that was just the defense. The defense first game out on dirt was a struggle.
And the second game we only had the 1 run, right? And it wasn't really rallies. There wasn't anything.
Yeah.
So I felt a little overmatched. But to get out of there Sunday the way we did with that big easy win was great.
And it's another thing is it's winning on Sunday against power programs like this is not supposed to be easy.
No.
Of course
The
not.
power programs are so good because of how deep they are, and the fact that Indiana is back to the kind of depth that we were used to where Sunday games are Sunday and midweeks are the strength. The last Big Ten championship, that was the strength. It was, I think what was it? We figured it out. It was went 4-4 on Fridays, went like 6-2 on Saturdays, and went 7-1 on Sundays.
Yeah, Gordon and Selfrank like never lost. That's what that was.
Yeah.
But again, that's what I'm saying. The pitchers we're facing in Auburn, in Texas, is different. The guys we're going to face Friday night, East Carolina, they're good. They're not Texas Auburn good, I don't think. But they're going to have some guys to roll out there against us Friday night. They're going to be quality arms. And it's a test. It's a test for our bats. But yeah, did I feel overmatched a little bit against Auburn the first 2 games? Yes. In no way did I against Texas that entire weekend.
But we know our bats can face that type of elite hitting. I mean, elite pitching. They've done it before. They have put big numbers up on some of the Big Ten's absolute best pitchers last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, draft picks. We sent draft picks off the mound to the dugout. Yeah, it's true. But yeah, overall, it was great to be back at the games. Obviously, road trip, getting out there, hanging out with you guys, and and even I haven't been able to get to these home games because they're Tuesdays at 4:00. I always work late on Tuesdays, but it's great to see. They're playing real good at home. Carl, you were there. Like, how was the crowd? Like, what was it a big crowd? I couldn't get a really feel.
It wasn't a huge crowd, but it wasn't a small crowd either. So
nice.
I mean,
the weather was great.
It was a decent. It's what you would expect for a it was about as best as you would expect for the mid 50s with an early start. So nice. I thought it was decent.
It's good to hear though. It's good. People getting interested, obviously, get through this weekend and we got a home weekend. So that's when you really see.
Yeah.
Well, and I was just looking at kind of going on the early season and on the road, and typically against decent opponents. I went back to those 13, 14 years real quick as a reference point, because those were 2 of the absolute best regular seasons in program history. 2013, at this point, so through 2 weekends of play, 2013, we were 3-2. There was a canceled game and no midweeks. 2014, which I'd argue was the more talented team at this point in the season, 2-5.
Oh, yes. That 14 team was like 10-10 after like 20 games. It was weird.
Yeah.
And then we just boat raced the whole Big Ten.
This early part is always a slog. And
and they could not hit. They were all in a massive slump to begin that season.
Right.
Even Schwarber wasn't hitting to start that. Schwarber and Travis were not hitting to start that season.
Right. And so I always take anything at this point in time with a grain of salt, because if we can run the Big Ten.
What you don't take with a grain of salt, I don't think, is how we faced up against quality arms.
Oh, yeah.
And against teams that know what they're doing, that have tradition, that are fundamentally strong. That it was winnable, and we played like it. Well, we just didn't get 2 out of 3 each time. It didn't happen.
The part that's bigger to me, and the part that was the bigger question mark coming in, the pitching's been phenomenal.
It really has been better than I thought.
I mean,
it really has been better than I thought.
Really
I was a little like, this is what they were saying last year, and then we know what happened last year to start. This has been really, really great, especially the Luke. Forget it.
Yeah,
he's fun to watch.
Yeah, but that's a huge difference, because while we know the bats will pick up because they always do year in and year out, the start of the season last year from a pitching perspective was, I mean, is nightmare too rough of a term there? Because it was rough those.
And it was still going on. It went on for 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yes, and at no point last year was there significant depth there.
No.
They had some weeks where they were really able to cover. I mean, they had some weeks where they covered 2 midweeks.
Yeah.
And they managed to cover it well. But it took a bunch of guys throwing and having relievers throw multiple innings and do well, which they did.
Yeah.
And to their credit, they had some just awesome weeks. But this is what we're seeing now. We're seeing, 17 arms have thrown. But look what they're doing. Yesterday, they had Ty Bothwell start the game. And he was absolutely lights out for the 3 batters he faced.
Yep.
And he got pulled because they have to give these guys, they are so deep, they have to give these guys innings.
Yeah.
You only have 9 chances. You got to get 9 guys out there.
Yeah.
So they have to give these guys. And what did they do? They held Butler to 2 runs.
Yeah.
Throwing 9 guys.
9 guys. Yeah. And that, to me, that's the right move right now. See who you can slot in for whatever chunks of time. I know as we go on, those chunks will get longer and longer.
I asked Coach that, and that's not where they're going.
Oh,
no, they're looking at the guys who have stuff, at getting them into a position where they're going to be able to be available in any game to stack them up the 6th through the 9th inning.
Yeah.
Yep. He actually specifically brought up the 6th. He said, get it to the 6th. And it's basically what I've been wanting forever. Because if you go read between the lines of what he's saying, is there's going to be a 7th, 8th, and a 9th guy. We just don't know who they are yet.
Right.
But that could.
I was thinking more the midweeks where
those are just fun for him. Those are fun for him.
We might not see 9 pitchers every midweek.
We might.
Oh no, I don't. Especially,
you never know.
Especially if you. Well, I think this is the thing, though. There's going to be situations in which. So I think it just depends on the scenario on the weekend.
Yeah.
So you take a weekend scenario where each of the starters goes 6.
Yeah.
And you have and it's a sweep, and you've got these high leverage guys that are going to be 1 inning guys. Well, if you've used them heavily on the weekend in 2 or 3 games, then you're probably going to need to go with more somebody who is going to be more of a command, not necessarily a stuff guy, but a command guy that can throw 3 to 5 innings. Yeah.
But I love seeing the variety of pitchers. My scorecards don't like it, but I enjoy it. I've only got 5 slots for pitchers in my scorecard, so
you're gonna get a new midweek scorecard.
No.
But I mean, Tuesday scorecard.
Yeah.
But this is what they've done without the starters being built up yet.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, first of all, this is going to bode well for RPI because this team should be in really good shape to win the vast majority of midweek games.
Yep.
Because of the depth that's there for midweeks, and given the fact that there's only.
I mean,
well,
we only play 2 good teams, right? We only play Louisville and Kentucky in the midweek. Who else do we play?
We've got 2 with Ball State.
Are they good?
Ball State's been better than IU the last 2 years. So
really? All right.
Yes.
No, good. I want them to be good. I just didn't know.
They've won 80 games in the last 2 years.
We've also got 2 with Indiana State.
Oh, and they're rivalry games for Glant. He's going to want to win those. Okay.
And
trust me,
I didn't realize we had any. I thought it was just Louisville, Kentucky. Really, I thought.
And heck, look how good Southern Indiana's doing in their first 8 games in Division I.
Nice.
No, I'm not kidding. No, Purdue Fort Wayne is not someone I'm counting in this, but
no.
Right.
No.
Yeah, that better not be a competitive game. I'm gonna say that right now. That better not be a competitive game next week.
The Mastodons need to go die quickly.
Yes.
Nice. And then the first weekend at home, who's that again?
Bellarmine.
They're not nothing.
But they're doing quite well. They're 4-2.
Okay.
I mean, they got beat by Southern Indiana, but
see.
But they are 4-2. So
you got to play the schedule.
I'm just saying they were they won they had less than 20 wins last year. So they're on a better path. Actually, the only team in our schedule that's on a bad path right now is Purdue Fort Wayne. Really.
Nice.
So I mean, obviously, some of the Big Ten teams are playing.
Different. Yeah.
Some of the Big Ten teams are taking. There's some of the Big Ten teams that are playing really tough, like Maryland. playing tough schedules. There's teams playing tough schedules like Illinois. They're doing quite well, and Iowa beat LSU. So, but you also have Purdue, who is again playing a very cake schedule and winning. So you just don't. Some of those guys you're just not going to know until they start really facing competition.
That's always their strategy, though. They just collect wins early and then try to figure it out.
Yep. Northwestern, ooh, it's not looking good right now.
No good, huh?
Yep.
Didn't Penn State take a game from Miami too?
Yes,
we were watching it?
and they almost took the series. They
Really?
had them on Saturday.
Yep.
But they lost it late on Saturday.
Yep.
I think the Big Ten is going to be a better conference this year. No one's really talked on a national level about IU yet, and I think that's just because the bats haven't shown what they're capable of yet.
Yeah.
And because of that, no one's really paid a lot of attention. And I think all of the attention in the Texas area was around Round Rock last week and not the Texas series.
Yeah.
And I think if there had been a national person really paying attention to that series, I think they would have had to have been impressed with what Indiana put together.
Oh, absolutely.
But I can't imagine, you wouldn't think we would be able to say this early in the season, but yeah, I think this may be one of the deepest pitching staffs. And that's saying a lot for Indiana over the last decade, because Indiana's had some very deep pitching staffs. I'm thinking 2015 in particular.
Yep.
I mean, that was one of those things. Went to that regional in Vanderbilt, and even the national writers are like, yeah, Vanderbilt is by far the best team here. Indiana has the best bullpen.
Yeah. Well, and I remember with that one in particular, Efros just going nuts against Vandy, and then
he was the best pitcher there.
Right. No one else.
He was the only
one who could contain him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went on through that tournament pretty easily. That game against us was like one of the hardest games of their run.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I mean,
then
there was Dansby sponsor. At least he's out of the NL East.
I think he's about to take off too. I think he's about to become a superstar.
He's a good player. He actually is.
I was actually kind of hoping the Dodgers would have bid on him there. But they
got the money, that's for sure.
Yeah, and then the Dodgers shortstop then just blew out his ACL, so that was great.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
That's never good. And now they're all going into World Baseball Classic mode.
Yeah.
I saw my love-hate relationship guy, Tommy Edman, made his way to Korea.
Is he? Yeah.
Yep.
He's on the team. I think Pete Alonso's on the team.
Yeah. But that's just one. It's very much I still remember Will Knowlton hanging over the fence too vividly to not have that little twinge.
You know who was in the bullpen? Artie Warren.
Yeah.
Joey Donato.
Yep.
Yeah, but that would have turned
for the next guy.
Yeah, because that would have turned Edmund around to his right side where he's strong.
Oh no,
right.
Coach Skip never said he was going to use him for him.
Right.
He was coming in. If he would have got through Edmund, Donato was coming in.
Yep.
He was warm and ready. He was warming up in the visitor bullpen because remember we were on the other side.
We were the visitors.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, since we brought up Joey Donato, should I do the belts?
Sure.
Yep. Let's do it.
It might as well. All right. So for those who have never listened to the show or watched, every week we give out red belts. Okay. One for offense, one for defense, one for pitching. The offensive red belt, Alex Dickerson Award. The pitching red belt is the Joey Donato Award. And the defensive one is Gold Glover, Tony Butler Award. Those who don't know, we did have a Gold Glove player come through nationally. Tony Butler was outstanding. If you never saw him play, you missed out. And he was a damn clutch hitter too. So shout out to those three. But we have two sets of games, right? Because we didn't do a pod after the first series. So we're going to do that one first. This one was pretty easy for the offensive. As we sat there in Auburn and watch this man get on base 5 out of 6 times in an 11-2 victory. Hunter Jesse, 4 hits. And it's because he cut the mustache off. So if you have a guy that sacrifices his mustache after 2 losses and the bats weren't hitting, he deserves an award, I think. He even gave us a little hat tip at the game, which I appreciated. Hunter Jesse gets the
Yes.
Alex Dickerson award for week 1. For the pitching award, I mean, I think this one is pretty obvious. It was Luke Sennard. He pitched an outstanding Sunday, 5 innings. Would they get 1 run off of him? I got the stats here. It was just a breath of fresh air to watch inning after inning him doing his thing. They looked off balance. They looked, they didn't know what to do. He was throwing that cement mixer. Yeah, here it is. 5 innings, 1 run, 1 run, and 4 Ks. And that was his first outing of the season against an SEC team. And if I remember correctly, that lineup wasn't too much different on Sunday than it had been.
No.
So it's not like they rolled the bench guys out on Sunday.
Yeah.
They wanted the sweep and they didn't get it because Luke pitched outstanding.
Yeah.
And for
pretty similar.
Right. And for the defensive award, Tyler Cerny. Okay. The play he made at second base, for those of you who didn't see it, we did get some video of it. We put it out on Twitter when it happened. The guy hit the ball. The angle of this thing, I don't even know how he was able to get to it, but it was an outstanding catch. It actually made top 10 SEC networks plays for the night. And it was really impressive. And to know where this young man has come from and to be playing his first freshman series, to make a play like that, on an SEC field, he had to feel good. I'm sure his family felt real good too. So they all get 1 belt for that, right? And then that was the second week. We add these all up at the end of the year. I know you're very interested in how we do this, but we add them all up at the end, and then you have an award winner, whoever gets the most belts. So for the second weekend, it's the same pitcher. I'm sorry, obviously. Luke Sennard, 5 innings, okay? This time, 2 runs, but he had 7 Ks. So he gave up the same amount of hits, which is pretty ironic, but he struck out 3 more batters, and he did give up 1 more run. But again, the calming force after, I'm sure there was some frustration after Friday and Saturday, those close games that were winnable. He really held the fort down and kept us there until the bats woke up in that beginning. Defensively, okay, this one was debatable, but I had to give it to the guy from New Jersey. Peter Cerruto threw out 4 guys at second base in 1 game. All right. I know if you look at the thing, it says 3 caught stealings because the one was a wild pitch, and then they ran and he threw them out. But still, that's 4. All right. So Cabs here came through big time. And he actually started that rally offensively. If you remember, he got the pitcher to balk.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He balked, got Cerruto to move up a base, and that started those 4 hits in a row for the big inning on Sunday. And offensively, again, we didn't have too much offense outside of that 1 inning. But in that 1 inning, when it came down to it, I don't know if tying that game there was enough, honestly. I don't know if we had another inning in us, right? How long did it take to get that inning? So Brock Tibbetts gets the Alex Dickerson Award for making sure we took the lead in that inning, right? For that double. And these were all 2-out hits, right? So it was Pine, Tibbetts, Bobby Whalen was part of that. I can't think of who the 4th hit was, but the 4th hit was Tibbetts, but there's another hit in there. 4 2-out hits to score 4 runs. It was clutch. It was big time. And so Brock Tibbetts gets his first Alex Dickerson Award, red belt. Peter Cerruto gets the Tony Butler, and Luke Sennard already with 2 in his pocket to start the year. So those are our red belts. And again, we keep it going every week. We keep it tally, and then we have a yearly winner.
I wanted to throw in an honorable mention on the defensive for week 2, because if Cerruto hadn't thrown out the 4 runners and commanded as well as he did, Josh Pine had the phenomenal going into the stands play.
Absolutely. No, he had it.
Pine
had it. Pine had the award. Cerruto took it from him.
He did.
He took it from him.
That play
really was
impressive.
Nuts. As much as I hate to call it the Jeter, he Jetered it, and it was awesome. All right, that's the play. That's what he did, and really, absolutely. My fault for not even mentioning it when we were talking about it. I'm glad you brought it up. Absolute honorable mention. That's the closest you. Like he had the belt, like it was halfway buckled, and then Cerruto took it away. But it was 4th row. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you don't see that ever.
I've never seen that. And I mean, usually they stop running.
Right.
These guys just kept going.
They didn't learn.
No. Peter Cerruto. Cavs are here. Oh, it was great.
The starting pitching all weekend was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Seiler and Manasseh were both excellent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Seiler was really good. And I thought about that one. Obviously,
Mhm.
the first weekend, Sinnard had it, and it was
Yeah.
that was obvious. But Seiler's, Friday night in that environment, it really showed something. And a lot of people, a lot of fans, whether it was Twitter or Facebook and stuff like that, there was a lot of comments like, okay, we got a guy. Like maybe they weren't as impressed the first time, or maybe they didn't get to see him because he was more wild. He wasn't as sharp. Like people were like, okay, we got a guy now. And he pitched really well. Absolutely.
Well, and to me, the thing that stood out was 5 innings on 64 pitches. And some of that was just that last inning. He had 3 innings with just 11 pitches.
Nice.
Like,
that's how you go deep in the game.
Right. That's the kind of efficiency we really like to see.
Yep.
And then you figure he was at a cutoff anyway. What was it, 65, maybe 70 pitches at this point in the season?
Yep.
They'll let him go longer later.
Yeah. And then said he was at 58 through 4.
Mm-hmm.
So again, not bad.
And it was a lot harder to pick the winner of the second weekend, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of good pitching. Kraft coming in with those 3 relief innings. I don't know if we were. I was just thinking they keep, another inning. But
I was surprised.
Coach pushed the right button.
It worked.
Yeah. I won't say I was for the move. I thought maybe now, okay, we got one. Okay, let's go.
It was clear based on what Coach said last night that because he kind of offered that up when I asked about. I was specifically asking about the freshman arms, but what he kind of steered the conversation to was the guys with elite stuff. So the freshman arms are part of that because they've got the high velocity right-handers.
Yeah.
But he was including Crafty in that conversation. And I think he made a point of saying that we intentionally wanted to put him back out there in a critical situation because they really, really believe in putting him into high leverage situations. And that they were talking about that, trying to set up this 1 inning deal, where people are going to have innings. And it sounds like Kraft is part of that conversation. Now, probably more focused. I don't know if it's going to be specific innings, though, Chris. I think it may be which guys go will depend on where they are in the order, because they're going to want to use Kraft in parts of the order where they're going to have strong left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
Well, but the thing that really struck me with Kraft was because he had pitched the day before.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was the thing.
And it was.
And I think it was they intentionally ran him back out there because they're like, they knew he was capable. So,
but it's not like they hit the cover off the ball. I don't think a ball left the infield.
No. Walk, bunt, single.
Right.
Those Kennedy bunt singles were frustrating because you knew they were coming. But then another walk.
No, right. I'm not saying he was, he wasn't sharp, but it's not like they were rocking doubles on him.
Right. Yeah. He just wasn't as sharp as we've come to expect.
Right.
But then he was right on it in game 3.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. But I think that was there's the frustration because of what we saw last year with so many innings starting off with walks.
Yeah.
And we just haven't seen, not saying they haven't seen walks. There have been walks.
Yeah.
But at no point has it, and we've seen innings where they've filled up the bases, but in very few situations has that gotten out of hand. And in the case of Kraft's inning, it took an error to get that to go out of hand. So
right. But that's even across the board. We haven't seen on the pitching defensive end. We haven't seen many what I would call true snowball innings. There was that one in game 2 where it was aided by an error. That was snowball light, I'm gonna call it.
It was competitive though. I mean,
it was competitive.
We had innings last year that were non-competitive.
Oh yeah.
We haven't had anything like that yet.
But like at Auburn, it was lots of 2s.
Right.
like nothing crazy. Like, ooh, we gave up 8 runs this inning.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. So if we look here, going backwards in time here, 2 runs, 2 runs, 5 runs, 4 runs, 5 runs, 2 runs. And then we go to the very first 2 games, 6 runs and 8 runs.
And these are total.
Right.
Yes, for the games.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we
I
talked
thought you were doing
about
like
this.
innings. I'm like, we never gave up no 8 runs in an inning.
No, when we're talking about, because and this is something that I did that little bit of analysis when I wrote my article about the first week's pitching, which is on the site you can pull up, and I talked about the fact that if you did an exercise based on last season, that that if you assume that IU scores the same number of runs in every game, and you change the opposing number of runs to 6, Indiana has a winning season.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they were battling against each other. It was like the bullpen against the bats. I remember it was frustrating.
And it was kind of interesting because Coach echoed that himself last night in saying that, we've been telling these guys, our goal is to hold them to 6 runs.
Yeah.
That's the goal that they've been talking about. And they've been doing a lot better than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's the 8-run game, but 3 of those in the 8-run game, that was the game that the defense went off the rails.
Yeah.
3 of those were unearned.
Yeah.
So it's
even that game, they weren't exactly gangbusters. That game felt like we could come back, and we did have the tying run on the on-deck circle in the 9th inning of that game. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But the point is, at no point have they given up more than 6 earned runs in a game, and since the first 2 games, it's been 5 has been the most.
Yeah.
Right. Well, just got to get the bats going. That's it. And we're not going to see as much. This is the best pitching we're going to see consecutively all year.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. When are we going to see 2 weekends worth of those arms in a row? I don't think we're going to.
We might. Hold on.
Better than those 2?
Yeah.
Or comparable, at least.
I would say Iowa, Illinois back to back. That's going to be a tough set of arms.
And when is that?
That is mid-April.
Yeah.
See? Okay. But I would think the bats will have plenty of time to adjust, and we'll have some tape on those guys, and it'll be a much different fight, I would think.
And a little warmer.
Yeah, because
that helps.
Iowa's got that Saturday guy that throws near 100.
100, yeah. I saw that.
Now he's effectively wild. So
I was gonna say those fastballs make their way out past the outfield real quickly if they're not placed well.
Yeah, but also, I mean, the thing is Iowa, their pitching is just very deep. Mm-hmm. They've got 5 starter guys that are basically able to truly start. Their depth is going to be Iowa may be the team to beat in the Big Ten this year. I know
we're going to be much
still
more prepared, though.
Everyone's harping on Maryland, but I'm telling you right now, Iowa seems to, at least out of the gate, Iowa seems to be the team to beat right now.
All right, so we'll beat them.
Yep.
They're the team to beat. Remember, Josh Pine picked them as his most looked ahead to series after that nonsense to end the year last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we don't have a series this weekend. We have speaking of schedules, I could at least get into that a little bit. We don't have a series, so to speak, but we're at an event, the Keith LeClaire Classic. It's hosted by East Carolina, and that's who we play on Friday. So it's their home crowd. They have this jungle, all these crazy fans outside. It's a real fun atmosphere. We played there before. I believe we got their head coach ejected, if I remember. Is it Braden Scott on the mound? And
I remember something
their
about
coach
that.
got a little angry. That was 2020. Yeah. That was a big win for us in 2020 before the season got cut off.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that night.
I forgot.
But this one's a little earlier. That was a night game. That was a pretty late game. This one's a 4:30 Eastern start. It is on ESPN Plus, and 99 out of 100 times you can on demand the game on ESPN Plus. So if you can't watch it live, put your phone away or whatever. I don't know, I can't do that, but some people I heard can ignore things and then watch it later. If you're one of those people, You can check it out on demand. Saturday and Sunday, there is no TV. Okay. 12 noon, we're playing Georgetown. And that's going to be our play-by-play guy, Griffin, doing the play-by-play. We're going to put the link out for that. So you can check out Georgetown. We saw before we went live, before we were recording, that they actually got a vote in one of the polls this week for top 25 from National College Baseball Writers. So I guess the expectations were a little higher for Georgetown than normal. And then on Sunday, you get breakfast with the Hoosiers, 11 or 11:30. We're not exactly sure when first pitch is. We've seen varying reports. Around 11, we're going to go. Have your bagels and your coffee with Hoosier Baseball against Long Beach State, the Dirtbags. And, from what Carl was saying, right? You're saying they're up-and-coming team?
Yeah, they're on the upswing. That whole league has been struggling in the last couple of years. It sounds, at least granted, we're basing this on the first 2 weeks, that
Sure.
the league seems to be a bit stronger this year. So, that is
obviously have a tradition, great tradition.
Exactly. This is a great tradition.
Yeah. But obviously, tradition don't help your RPI. So let's hope that they do have a good year too.
They've also got far and away the longest trip.
True.
So, and that's a lot of time zones to hop there, and didn't have a midweek.
I'm sure that's why they're playing first, so they can get that at Dodge after the game.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
But that's the weekend. It's day games, during the weekend. You still got the home series coming up. We go back to series play. I guess this is the only event, right? Sometimes we go to several of them, but this is it, where we're going to play multiple teams in a weekend. Yep. So it could be fun. Check out different teams. And obviously we become Long Beach State and Georgetown and East Carolina fans after this weekend. To get 3 wins here, or 2 out of 3 would be big. But yeah, check it out. 2 radios, 1 TV. So that's cool. And I don't know. Hopefully by Sunday night, we're sitting there 2 out of 3 minimum.
Yeah. And if you don't have ESPN Plus, you will also have Griffin on Friday too. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like everybody wants that TV. Where's it? Is it on TV? But no, that we're grateful that Griffin's there. Without him, what would we have? We would have game day robots to look at, move across the screen.
We've done that one before.
We are grateful we have a play-by-play. And he's very good.
He's
very good.
He really is.
I appreciate him. That's for sure.
Yes.
But yeah, that's for next weekend. And I'm assuming that we won't have too many of these 2 series in a row, but you never know, conflicts, scheduling and stuff. But we do try to do it after each weekend.
And I will say, quick forecast note, looks like there could be chance of wet on Friday, but Saturday, Sunday look absolutely gorgeous.
Okay.
So.
And that should be all that we'll cover in the next one, because we have a rare Wednesday midweek following that. So we'll probably have our show before the midweek game. All right. Any final thoughts we want to cover before we call it a show?
Well, for me, just glad the season's back rolling. Had a great time on the trip, seeing faces, that you might only see at the ballpark. Obviously, it was a road ballpark, but there was a lot of faces we knew there.
There were a lot of faces.
Had a great time. Looking forward to getting back to the BART. Is that Wednesday night? Is that a home game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, great. So I'll be there. That'll be my first one this year. And then, of course, getting back to the games. I know my brain actually is now used to February college baseball after 5-6 years of this. It seemed very strange in the beginning.
Yeah.
But to be going to games that matter before spring training has even started for the Mets was like a weird brain thing for me. But I'm used to it now, and I'm glad we got the season rolling. I'm looking forward to good things. I'm impressed so far, and I was really kind of kept my expectations low, because last year I was very high on expectations and it didn't go through. But I don't know. I'm impressed with what we've seen so far, and I'm looking forward to more.
Yes. Wholeheartedly agree.
Yep, and I will be right on board with that too. Especially just the way this pitching staff has performed has just been. And I guess the only thing I will add is I have been really impressed with the team fundamentals. So I think you really highlighted, Chris, what Pete Ceruto did. But there's so many pieces that allow that to happen. The pitching is a big part of that. Obviously, the middle infield And with the exception of a couple hiccups, that first game on dirt, with the exception of a couple hiccups, the fundamental aspects of how this team has performed are noticeably better. The performance of the catchers, pitch framing, little things like that, how they're holding runners, just that stuff is crisp. You're looking at good cutoffs and relays.
Yeah.
The cutoffs and relays look good. All that stuff it just looks like it's a fundamentally it looks like a veteran fundamental team, and that is really, really good to see.
Yeah. And seeing just the depth in the field is insane. And we knew coming in, because it was such a young team last year, pretty much everybody back, knew it'd be hard to for anyone new to make their way in, but a few have done well, and we've got some rotations going on. And
yep. All right. Well, I think we'll go ahead and call it then. That will do it for this edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. You can follow iubase.com, go to iubase.com, or follow us on our various social media. So please go ahead and do that. I've been trying to live blog most of the games. I'll be happy on feedback. If anybody has on social media, give us some feedback on if that is helpful. Based on the stats, I think especially games in which it's radio only, it seems to be very popular for those. I tried it at the BART yesterday. It was actually I had a little difficulty with handling that at the BART, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to keep that up or not. We'll see. But let me know what you think on that. So, and on any aspect of the team or our coverage, we would love to get some interaction. We love when we have some interaction. So, looking forward to seeing more of that. All right, so for Cassidy Palmer and Chris Feeney and Josh Bennett, who might be able to join us next week, hopefully, I'm Carl James. See you at the BART.